I'm Red with Ironworkers Local 167. I'm here to teach you 6 common knots and hitches that ironworkers use on the job site. They are the clove hitch, the Beckett hitch, half hitch, square knot, slippery hitch, and then the bowline. And I'm going to teach you how to tie those and the different applications you can use them in this video. Now, to tie a clove hitch, of course you'll need some rope. But you take the end of your rope here and you set it over the object, whatever it is. You bring it around and then you overlap that rope. You pass over and then you come back through. Always tell the apprentices to find the X. You see how it forms an X? What you're going to do is you're going to go under and then you're going to come right through the legs of the X. Here's your X. We went around, came back up. Cinch it down. It's a pretty good knot. It will hold most things. One thing you have to be careful with is the fact that it could come undone if enough force is applied or wrong positioning. So whenever you're tying it, especially if you're doing a heavy load, you want to get yourself some extra slack. Like this. Then you want to come forward and around and you want to tie essentially a half hitch right there at the end. Now I'm going to show you how to tie the Beckett hitch. It's just like clove hitch. All you're going to do is you're going to tie the clove hitch onto a rope, go around, make your X, come up, and you cinch it down, and that is the Beckett hitch, typically used on rigging blocks. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to tie a square knot. And a square knot is used to join two pieces of rope that are the same diameter. Sometimes you have different sized ropes and you want to join them together. That's a different knot entirely. So a square knot, you make a little loop at the end. You hold it here like this, okay? Then you take the other end of your rope, you come up through the bottom, then you come around and back in. That's all simple. See that? Maybe this will help you understand. I know it was kind of like the aha moment for me, just seeing how it worked. Now for the half hitch. The half hitch is pretty simple. It's usually a extra added reinforcement for other knots. There is sometimes where it's used to balance a load as you pull it up, say a long piece of pipe, and you'd add a couple half hitches in order to secure the load to the rope. And I'll show you that in a little bit. So there's two ways of tying this, the right way and the wrong way, and I'll prove it to you now. You go around your object, you go around your rope, you bring it back, and you stick it right there, somewhere on the other side. The goal is to have enough space so that it can bite here when it comes around here, giving you that nice turn. You can see how strong that is, right? Okay. Now, what most people do is that they think of a knot or whatever, they come down, they do this. Now watch. Oh no, my piece just fell. Headache. See what I'm saying? So you come around, you can test this out yourself, just the difference it makes I'm tying it right. Cinch it up, get rid of all the slack, and it doesn't slip off. All right, now it's time for the bowline. The bowline has probably 8 variations. What I mean is different types of bowlines. You got French, running, equalizing, so forth, so on. I'm going to teach you the bowline. The bowline essentially creates a loop. One of the most memorable times that I used the bowline, and it really just showed me the importance of a good bowline, was as I was using a rope grab as my tie-off device, so I had to tie my own bowline. That really opened my eyes to how important a bowline is and being able to tie it correctly. And since then, I've taught apprentices multiple times. I made a point as a JIW to make sure that the apprentices are at least learning their knots while they're standing there fire watching, or in some cases, lift watching. So you guys, as apprentices, need to invest in yourselves. When you have downtime, instead of pulling out your phone, kicking rocks, complaining and whining to yourself about how hard you think that it is, grab a piece of rope. On your break, watch this video, and then practice as you're standing there. If you have any questions, you can always ask a journeyman. Now, you're probably going to have to get a little closer to be able to see the knot that I'm tying. So go ahead and move closer. Closer. So you make a loop. And before I get started, I teach how to tie the bowline just a little different. I explain the mechanics behind it. That way you can tie it any which way. I've met plenty of journeymen out there that can only tie the bowline a certain way because of muscle memory. Something about a rabbit, and for some reason it comes out of the hole, it goes around its tree, and then goes back into the hole. I don't do that. So you just watch how I tie it. I'll explain how it works, and hopefully you'll be able to tie it any which way and increase the quality of your bowline tying. So you create a hole or a loop. What you need to do is get this loop in a bind. So I came from the backside through the hole, and that way my loop will be supported. Okay. This rope here on my loop is on top, right? And then it goes around and down. It's on bottom. So I need to come in like this in order to apply force to the top of the rope back that way so it doesn't come undone. You see that? Now I'll show you the other way if I came in the wrong way. So instead of following through, so if I come to the front and I come down, I just hold this and let it go, it comes undone, right? So it's very simple, okay? I want to keep this in a bind, so I need to push down the bottom, right? Just like this. In order to do that, I have to go through the back and then down. Once you understand this concept, you'll know what to do next. It only makes sense. In order to keep the pressure on that loop, you've got to go this way and around and then back up. Just like this. And you're creating a loop inside of another loop, but it's going around this part. Now watch when I start to pull it tight. It's going to cinch down. This loop is tightening on this loop, and this loop's behind here. If it doesn't go behind there, it can just be pulled out, okay? That wouldn't be cool. So this is the mechanics of it. I want you to understand the mechanics of it. Muscle memory is good and all, but what happens if you get outside of position? Iron workers got to be able to do it in all positions, and I do mean all positions. Now I'm going to demonstrate why a bowline is so handy. I tied a bowline in the middle of the rope down here. Yes, you could do that, and I'll show you how. I'm going to put my foot in here and apply my weight. The bowline, no matter how much of a load you put on there, if tied properly, you can always get it undone. All right, now you saw that all my body weight was on it. you take the loop down here at the bottom, okay, right back here. You pull it down, you bring it around, you push this up, and now you can tell that it's loose, ready to come undone. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to tie it in the middle of the rope. This is about halfway of the rope. You make your loop, you grab in the middle here, and you're going to do the same thing as the bowline. I need to come into the back just like this. Then I'm going to go around and then back in. I know it looks like a jumbled mess. That's because there's 2 layers of rope, right? But you have a bowline in the middle of your rope. Instead of having to take one in, you feed it all the way through the loop, and then all the way around and back, and then back through that loop again. Instead of doing all that, you have a bowline you can trust. This is a slippery knot. You go around, essentially you're making a knot, but what you're doing is that you're feeding some of the rope in there, but not all of it. You're keeping it just like this, and then you cinch down on it. I mean, I'm sure I could put my whole body weight on it now that it's bitten down on it. Not all my body weight, but quite a bit. Now I grab this, and it comes undone. Now let's talk application. Buddy drops his sleever bar. He needs a sleever bar, whatever the case is, and he doesn't have it on his ironworker butt. Take your clove hitch, cinch it down. You can easily come back, tie a half hitch like this, and then it'll fly like that. Now, in order to be safe and efficient, we don't want any chance for this to come off and possibly slip over the end, or if you tie it on this end, we don't want it to slide off this end. I tie it right here next to the washer, and then I put a half hitch right here towards the top, which helps control the load as it goes up. You take a piece of rope. Let's say there's a piece of rope and it's really freaking long. And instead of tying towards the end the clove hitch, right? Instead of doing this and then he has to pull up 20 feet of rope, you walk over and in the middle of the rope, you make 2 loops. You grab it like this. Notice my hand's going this way, the other one's grabbing it from this way. And you twist. And you're going to twist towards each other and then overlap them. And that makes a clove hitch. So grab it, twist it, and then you fold them together. Not like this, because that's not going to do anything. Okay? Like this, and then like that. Slide it onto his wrench. Maybe you call them butterfingers or whatever the case may be. I'll leave that up to you. Go ahead and cinch it down for him. Now he's ready to fly. And as he's pulling it up, it's not going to be just a smooth ride. Okay? It's got to be prepared to take a jostling as it's coming up because he's like, I'm in a hurry, and that thing will dance around like this. So it's got to be able to stay in there. So that was quick and simple to do. You're fast and efficient. Ironworkers need to be fast and efficient, not tripping over themselves. A lot of guys, what they'll do is that they're in a hurry, so they're like, all right, it doesn't matter. Got to get it back up to them. They do this little number, and then it's going up, and then it falls again. Now you've wasted even more time. Now we'll talk about the beater and how to apply it. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to use the clove hitch again. So you put it between your legs. Normally you wouldn't have a table, but what you want to do is get enough slack, tie a clove hitch around the head, put it on the face, and I'll explain why in a second. You can add the little extra protection here, just to kind of cinch it down. Entirely up to you. I don't never found it to be necessary. And then this is my extra added security, is that I add a half hitch right here. That way, as it's going up straight, not out of control, easy to undo, quick to get off. And I got the clove hitch here, which supports the head. I put it on the side. Either side doesn't matter. You don't want to put it on the head. I guess you could, as long as you're planned it out. But you go on the side, and then the live end here goes along the handle, half hitch. You don't want to put it on the head and then bend it over the other way in order to go up the handle. So that's why I always put it on the side. So that's how I get the beaters back up to them. And while I have you here, it's a beater, not a hammer. It's not a sledgehammer. A sledgehammer has a full handle. That's a sledgehammer. Hammers, all different sorts and sizes. But when an iron worker takes a sledgehammer and cuts that handle to fit him, it is then a beater. We're iron workers. This is a beater. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to rig up a bolt barrel. That way a buddy can pull it up to whatever level you guys are bolting on. Back when I started, we did this a lot. Get a long section of rope, give yourself plenty of slack. This is about midway point of this short rope. Lift it, slide it underneath about center or so. This section of rope is going to support the weight of the bucket. You tie a little knot, not an actual knot. You do this little number. Then you grab it. Make sure you grab it the right way. If you grab it the wrong way, I'll just show you. Only one side will go like this. Grab it the right way. It'll separate like that. You lift up the two ends, and this stabilizes your bucket as you're pulling it up. See how it comes along the sides here? Now one of these ends is going to be going up towards the floor. So we'll say this is our dead end. Essentially, you have a bowl line. That's the whole purpose of what you guys saw me do. And just like earlier, I didn't want to feed all this rope. However much rope it is, I didn't want to feed it through there. So I just stuck a little loop in there. I'm going to use this little doodad here. I'm going to tie a, you know what, let's do a Beckett hitch. Since you guys learned that. Slide it up, cinch it down. Tie this over here, get it centered up on our load. You better stop it. I'm going to pick it up. Just had enough to pick it. Take it over here. It doesn't want to let me, does it? Okay. It's all right. I'll just hold it down with my body weight. So the rope on the bottom holds the bottom of the can. The sides, they stabilize the load. As I mentioned before, one thing you have to be careful when it comes to plastic buckets, you don't want this all the way at the top because it's applying pressure sideways also, right? It's coming up and then it squeezes here and then it goes up to your bowl line. So in a plastic bucket situation, if the bolts are halfway, lower these down to where the bolts are, preferably just below the level of the bolts. That's where all your weight is anyways. You don't need anything to do with the top of the bucket. And that is essentially it. Your buddy pulls it up, sends you down the rope, you send off another one. And in case you didn't see how I tied the knot above the bucket, it was the equalizing bowline. And the way that you do it is you make a loop, and this being your dead end, this one going up to the one of the floors with your buddy, you make a loop, and just like the regular bowline, you want to keep your loop in a bind. I'm going to have to go this way, and then all you do, well, so you make a loop, you pull this live end through that loop, and then all you got to do is stick your rope through that excess, you pull it down, and as you can tell here, that's a bowline. That's the equalizing bowline. It's good. It's also called the self-centering bowline, and it's perfect in these applications. Now, if you have a hard time with the regular bowline as I showed you, this may be a simpler method. I know some of my students found it simpler. Make that loop, pull the rope through, pull the dead end through there, and then you pull up, and it renders right above my foot in this case, but also at the center of your load, and you have a certified knot. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something from it and can better yourself in your own time or on the job site. Remember to watch this video. It is a tool for you to learn. There are many knots out there, more than I taught you. This one here is called the scaffold hitch, named after the very reason that I'm using it now. There's a saying out there that's been around for years. If you don't know a knot, tie a lot. I disagree wholeheartedly. Learn how to tie the proper knot, and it will make you into a better iron worker, more efficient, and it will bring pride to you, your haul, and our trade. As always, stay cool, and God bless.